I'm good, Skylar. How are you, mate?
Good. I cannot complain. The week is starting to fly by. It's first couple days back from the holidays.
No, I know it gets a little bit crazy because so many people take off during that time. So
Mhm.
all of a sudden, all the influx of messages and emails come back in like tenfold. So you started nice and relaxed, and it lasted for me about an hour on Monday morning, and now we're back to
Exactly
things.
that. I know. All of my bosses were like, okay, well, you guys had a nice 2 week stint of no cold calls. We were just doing mostly emails and things like that over the holidays. And they're like, all right, hit the phones again. And I was like, back at it like a crack
Interesting.
addict.
You guys kept your cold outbound sequences running during the holiday period?
It was honestly just informational.
Okay.
It's like promotional, like basically. So I'll kind of jump into what I do over here. I'm an SDR team lead at a company called AppZen, which is a AI finance solutions for accounting and audit teams,
Mhm.
helping audit 100% of expenses prior to reimbursement, utilizing AI, and then helps the accounts payable invoice process. So
Okay.
taking invoices from email to ready to pay status in SAP, Oracle, all the big ERP systems.
Mhm.
So we were basically just promoting like free end of year audits and different things like that for folks when they're coming back from the holidays. It's like, hey, free end of year audit, book a demo here. Basically hop on a 20-30 minute call and then get into an audit to show you what we do versus what your current audit looks like. So it wasn't any sort of blasting with any cold outreach, but it's, hey, just try to keep our names in people's faces.
No, of course, and especially I think it also really depends on what you're giving to people, right? And for you
Mhm.
guys, end of year audit makes a lot of sense. So it makes sense to
Mhm.
keep that going lightly. Obviously, I'm assuming you're not sending out any outbound during Christmas or anything like that.
No.
But obviously, during that time frame, it's very top of mind because I'm sure some people are stressing about end of the year and what they actually still needed to do or what they forgot. So that
Right.
does make a lot of sense. What tools do you guys use for your outbound? If you don't mind me asking, you don't have to answer that. If you don't.
So we're using quite a few of them actually. So LinkedIn Sales Navigator, Zoom Info,
Mhm.
Salesforce,
Mhm.
Outreach is the most recent one, and then Nooks.
Oh, Nooks. Okay, Nooks are very
Yeah,
cool. Yeah,
yeah.
very cool.
Which we were using Orem. I don't know if you're familiar with them as a dialer, but we were using them beforehand and then switched over to Nooks. And I don't know which I like better. They're both just two fun different tools, but
Mhm.
I like being able to call a lot of people at one time. So Orem allows me that opportunity.
With those, the dialer is a power dialer, right? So it's actually running automatically, and when someone picks up, that like basically jumps it to the front of the line, and then you actually get tossed onto the
Exactly.
phone right away, right? Yeah. I have a bone to pick because I get auto dialed. I swear to God, about 40 times a day.
Oh, I bet.
And I answer it, but when I answer them, most of them I get now are AIs, right? It's all like spams. So if someone's auto dialing me and I pick it up and it's an actual person, I'd have zero problem with it.
Yeah.
Which is why I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and don't quote me on that, I believe HubSpot was using Orem and then also switched to Nooks as their dialer.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% confirmed, but I think I heard that right. I heard someone speaking about that a couple
I
months
think
ago.
you're right. I have a few friends that work over there, and
Hmm.
it's same kind of thing. It's just whenever their contract's up, who's going to give them the better deal kind of thing.
I do that too. I shop around myself all the time. And what I did, I learned pretty early on in my career that when I started doing these things on my own, I kind of waited as long as I could to sign a 12-month contract with any tools that I was using. So all my 12-month contracts are in December, which
Smart.
means end of the year, which means I get
You get the best deal possible.
for no reason at all other than the timing of it being, which is fantastic.
That's beautiful.
And some people will be like, "Oh, like, will you pull your renewal forward?" I'm like, "Nope, not a chance." It's like not a chance. No. Well, first of all, thanks for taking the time. You're actually the first person I'm doing this with.
Awesome.
From this sort of perspective, I obviously have these calls a gazillion times a day.
Right.
It's the first time I'm doing it via like social media and whatnot, and just to give my opinion on you. So let me pull up the form that you submitted real quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll have it in here. So, okay. So I asked you a couple of questions. First one, what are you trying to achieve from this call? And so you're basically looking at either potentially a transition in what you're doing or even in the whole industry. Is that correct?
Yeah. So there's kind of a few different options on there. That was just the easiest one I can elaborate it on by myself.
Okay. So I need to adjust my form. Gotcha.
I think you could just click a few different options and then tailor the call from there, whichever is the most important. For me specifically, I was just very intrigued with your background as coming someone who's in a similar position going from sales into rev ops and then ultimately going into your own business. I just think that as a whole is, I don't see myself in sales forever. Yes, I understand sales is going to be the backbone of anything that you get yourself into, but selling for a company rather than selling for myself, or that's where I would want to be, selling for myself rather than selling for a company as a whole. So learning the skills like a rev ops and then monetizing that and selling that as a service for myself is where I just became super fascinated in, and then did my whole, find the rabbit hole of what do I even need to do? How do I get into this and do everything like that? So that was kind of where I came about from it, and then shot you a follow, and then I just kept going from there.
Okay, well, perfect. How about we do this? How about we just put that form to the side, because that's really just for me to get a little bit of a better understanding of what you're actually looking for.
Yeah.
But if what you're looking for is like how I did it and how I'm down this path, I'm happy to explain it to you and answer any questions that you may have.
For sure.
So I'll give you like the 90-second spiel on how I got to where I currently am, just based off of my career, right? So I started, I played sports in college. I got a sales internship at Liberty Mutual selling insurance. And I was actually one of the few people in the Liberty Mutual insurance program that actually just got their license to actually sell insurance as an intern right away during that summer internship. And so what happened is they actually forgot to put me in their summer internship program. So after my first week, my boss asked me, like, how did it go? And I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And he was like, I'll have a bunch of calls. And I was like, no, I've just been here learning about insurance. And so they forgot to put me in it. And he's like, well, how about you just, study for the test, take the test. And if you take it, then the remaining part of the summer, you can just sell insurance. And I was like, well, that sounds better than anything else. So I took the test. I passed it, I think, by 1%. I think you have to pass it with like a 70. And I got 71. So I passed it, and I came back, and they were like, great, now you can just sell insurance. So I was selling insurance for that summer. Then after the summer, they kept me on as part-time while I was still in college. And then when I finished university, they wanted me to bring me on full-time. I did not want to work in insurance sales. It was not for me. I did not like it. I was like, you can have anyone do this. It's not for me. So then I actually worked as a recruiter for 6 weeks, believe it or not. I came in the first day. They handed me a headset. They're like, start dialing. I was like, whoa. This is not what I thought I was signing up for. During the interview process, we were talking about a lot of very different things than just this cold calling stuff. Like we were talking about you guys opening a location in the Netherlands, and if this went well, you guys wouldn't want me to run and all this stuff. And now you just hand me a phone and want me, basically selling people in an industry I know nothing about. They gave me software engineers. And I remember the first call, I had a sheet of things to ask. And the first thing I asked someone was like, oh, are you a full stack or a back-end developer? Or no, are you a front end or a back end developer? And the person said, I'm full stack. And I go, oh, nice, congrats. So are you front end or back end? And they were like, means both. And I was like, like being rushed in this position without any training at all. And I was like, yeah, this is not for me. So I immediately went back on the job market. 6 weeks later, I got hired by a Norwegian software startup out of Boston that sold mass serialization technology. So that's the data provider basically behind QR codes. And you got to, think about this being 7 years ago. So this was like pretty new technology. This is before the blockchain hype, right? And so this was the technology that allowed them to do this at mass scale. So think about anything produced at mass scale, cigarettes, anything like that. They can attach codes to it now, attach rewards programs, or tell you the whole supply chain, where it came from. So this was very new, exciting technology, but had a very, very long sales cycle because you have to educate people on this first. So I worked there in sales for about 6 months. They hired a new CCO. She came in, wanted to see our sales data. And I asked her what spreadsheet she wanted to start with. And she's like, what do you mean? You don't have a system? And I was like, nope, this is what the head of sales has. And so that was basically my indicator to go, oh, there's more behind sales than just picking up the phone and emailing people, picking up the phone, calling them, and trying to educate people about something they're not going to get in one email or a phone call.
Right.
And so that basically was my indicator to go, ooh, now we're going to build a system to track this. This is where my data background, my economics degree comes into play. I love data. Put me in. So that kind of transitioned me into that role. I worked there for another 1.5 years doing traditional sales operations. So Salesforce we use there. So think about all your reporting that we have in there, the proper fields show up when you need them, making sure that you as a sales rep, when you log in, you have your leads where they're supposed to be, you have the notes where they're supposed to be, all that sort of stuff to make sales lives easier and ensure that we could actually report on them. So
That's
from
actually
there,
very interesting.
oh, okay. Well, do you have any questions? I can pause right there before we go any further.
No, I just thought it was very cool because that's kind of like my thought process. It kind of, I mean, might be jumping the gun here, but in one of like the initial things that I did see when you had a conversation about that was charging a client having to $4,500 for literally just mapping in HubSpot.
Yes.
And it was just simply based on you just needed one more field filled out. And this literally, like when I was like, have you done this for both HubSpot and Salesforce, was because I can literally see like in my job right now, there are multiple accounts that are global accounts that, why do we have 4 duplicates of this account that's tied to 2 people in EMEA, 1 to me here, and then another person in the East Coast? Like that, it literally like all clicked in my head, and I was like, we have a full DevOps, RevOps team, and this isn't fixed. Like why? Like there has to be something easier and something better to do. So that was where I was like, have you done this for both? Because I was thinking like, okay, if I could just figure out how to do this for myself, then this is where the ball starts rolling. And then that was.
Yep. And that's exactly the thought process I had 7 years ago when I switched from sales to operations, because it's the same thing. It's all right, we're going through these spreadsheets. Wait a minute. I recognize this name. I've seen this name before. And then you go back and you search, you do a Command F and you search for that name. You find them in a different sheet and you're like, wait a minute, we've been reaching out to the same person. We just didn't know because they were in 2 different spreadsheets.
Right.
And so this issue, even though we have all this technology these days, is everywhere. I deal with duplication all the time. I deal with people saying, wait, why do I have 14 accounts? Or why do I have accounts that aren't in my territory assigned to me? Or why is John down the line calling a customer that I own? This stuff happens 24/7. Even to teams with full RevOps teams in-house, it still happens. And the reason for it being is if the system's not set up properly, it automatically gets very clustered very quickly. And the problem with AI, the solution, AI, problem AI, being that now that you're going to let people set up tools that can do this stuff at mass scale very quickly, if you do not have a clean database and you do not set it up properly, you're just going to amplify this issue by 100 easily. And that's really where we're going to go down. And so anyone that's asking for my advice, I'm like, oh, where should I go? Yes, the data component's really good to know. Yes, knowing a CRM system's really good. But we're shifting so quickly to being able to control AI agents or tools that people are coming out with that are supposed to be the quick solvers for this stuff. You still have to know where to point it to, what fields to point it to, what field's the unique identifier. All that information is still going to be relevant. And AI is not just going to go in and pick that all up. Because like I said, most companies have clustered data. Even AI, when they see clustered data, they're not going to always have a clear pattern of what's supposed to be what has the right context, etc. So that's a really smart way of thinking, in my opinion, because that's what I did. But I would definitely keep that in the back of your mind. And especially, if you have some additional time and you want to make that switch from sales to your internal ops team, which is the first switch you do, look up some tools, use your chat, use whatever you want to use, search, okay, what tools are there on the market that help with deduplication inside of Salesforce? Read the reviews about the tools. The first thing I ever do is just read the reviews, because people will let you know if they don't or do like something. Especially in my space, they will let you know because they're paying for it. So what I do is I'll go read the reviews. Then after the reviews, then I'll look at a demo. Then I'll probably have a demo with them and say, okay, show me how it works. And then always just keep in mind, demo environments are meant to work every single time. So once you change one of the parameters, it might break. I've tested many, many tools in my days. And oftentimes you can break them if you just change one parameter because it's not the perfect demo environment anymore. So keep that in mind as well. But my recommendation would be, as a first thing, look into what you can find about, okay, how can I take care of this issue? See if you can talk to someone internally and see if they've tried it. If they haven't tried it, be like, have you looked at this tool? Can I be part of it? I would like to, test this on a subsection of my contacts. Is that allowed? And then if they are like, well, no, that's our job, then be like, all right, can you please do it? But
exactly right.
Most of the times what you're going to find is if you try to do it yourself, you're probably not going to have the permission set to do it. Because the first thing I do is I turn permissions off for everyone else, because then I know you're not screwing up the data. So
exactly,
if someone's screwing it up, it's me, and I'll be able to find it.
That makes sense.
That is the perfect way of thinking. And I think if that's something that makes you, if that excites you, that's definitely something to look into. Or just, even if you do start looking for a career change, keep that in the back of your mind on like what kind of role you're looking to switch into.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I appreciate that definitely, because
Mhm.
I know from the conversations I've had internally with our like RevOps team, it's basically just been like, hey, can you fix this? And then like a couple hours later, it gets fixed. It's like, if I just knew how to do all of these tiny little things, especially being our headquarters is in San Jose, and our SDR team is based here in Phoenix. So we do have that just like a little bit of delay where it's like you have to send a Slack. He's probably got hundreds of Slacks from everybody across the entire company of, hey, I need this field changed, or I need this account updated, and different things like that. So being just some sort of voice of reasons in the ops world at like an SDR/AE level would be definitely just foot in the door, just to at least internally understand it.
Yeah.
Go from there.
What I would do is if I were you, and I can give my 2 cents, what I would do is, if you are interested in that switch, the first thing I would do is start talking to those people on a day-to-day basis. And maybe not day-to-day and bugging them, but just being like, listen, I think it's so cool what you do. Like, are you guys considering hiring another analyst underneath you, since like you might have a very big workload because there's only 1 or 2 of you on the team? The matter of the fact is, most organizations do not have enough people in RevOps to support the demand of everyone in sales, marketing, customer success, and any other part of the organization that might need help with systems, right? So that's where I would start if I was you. Seeing if that's on the horizon. If it is, being like, okay, I'm thinking about a career switch. I've had a knack. I've been teaching myself on Salesforce tools. As an example, this is when I looked in for duplication. Is this something that you guys are considering? And then seeing if you can make that switch. Once you make that switch and you're actually in that realm, then you can honestly go as fast as you can, because then you have access to everything. You can teach yourself. Everything can be found online these days. I was in Salesforce for 8 years, and then I found HubSpot before I joined the new company. They were like, we bought this tool called HubSpot. And I was like, never heard of it. And I got there and I got to use it, and I was like, oh, it's all drag and drop. I was like, amazing. And so from there, I just taught myself as I went along and rebuilt their whole RevOps process, basically.
That's awesome. Yeah. And so would you say you prefer HubSpot over Salesforce then?
Good Lord, yes, by miles. Whew,
and that's
close.
That's what I've heard from everybody. And I know our company, we use both. Marketing uses HubSpot, and we use Salesforce for sales.
So there is, I think there's a pro and con to both. So Salesforce is for enterprise organizations, or organizations that have a very specific idea of what they want, and they code it that way themselves. They have engineers that can do it for them, and so it makes sense. When I worked at Dynatrace and Amazon, they had Salesforce. They had a bunch of engineers that can configure it exactly the way they want it, and then they had a bunch of RevOps people that could support it. So in that instant, it makes a lot of sense to me, right? You can actually tune it exact way you want. Problem, A, it's very expensive to do it that way. B, you rely on architects because they have to actually code the differences. You can't just drag and drop like you can with HubSpot, which is why a lot of people switch to HubSpot, because they're like, wait a minute, I don't need a full-time RevOps person now. I want this new field. I can go and add it. I want this report. I want this, add that. You can just go add it yourself. Now, HubSpot's also grown a lot in the past 5 years, obviously. So it's getting more complicated. And the reason for that being is people are requesting more features. When you need more features, things are going to get more complicated. It still is mostly all drag and drop, but there are a lot of providers out there, I'm not one of them, that now build custom things inside of HubSpot as well, because 80% of it matches what the company's looking for, but they're just missing some billing functionality here, or they're missing some additional functionality for an integration or something like that, where you don't have a coder comes in, they actually make it, get to the 100% so you can actually use it as a functional system.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Well, again, I appreciate it, Chris. I mean, I don't really have any like too crazy questions. I just wanted to say I appreciate you setting some time up like this, and
of course
helping a young lad out like me who's just trying to figure his shit out early in his career. So I appreciate that a ton.
Of course, Ben. Listen, it's been my pleasure. If you have anything else pop up, I mean, you have my LinkedIn and whatnot, so shoot me a message. But it's been a pleasure getting to know you. Let me know how it goes. If you do make that switch, shoot me a message. I would be very interested to hear about that. And then if you have any other questions about tools or whatnot, pop them on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to answer.
I appreciate it, Chris. Well, I'll give you your afternoon back. You take care. Have a good night.
All right, mate. Have a good one.